What if you heard what sounded like your dad calling to you from the other side of your front door, but it was impossible for him to be there? Welcome back to Creepy Crochet and Creepy Pasta. Let's get into today's scary story. Back when I was around 11 or 12, there was one night that felt really off. Normally, I could hear cars outside, people talking, laughing, but that night it was completely silent. Too quiet. My dad wasn't home at the time. He had gone to Mexico to visit my grandparents, so it was just me, my mom, my sister, and my cousin. My cousin was staying with us because his mom was working a late shift. It was around 10 or maybe closer to midnight, and we were all sitting in the living room watching a movie when suddenly we heard a knock at the door. We weren't expecting anyone, so we all looked at each other, confused. Then we heard a voice. It was my dad telling us to open the door. I started to get up, but my mom immediately pulled me back and told me no. She said my dad had just called her and told her he had just landed in Mexico and wouldn't be back for at least 4 days. So if that wasn't my dad, then who was at the door? My mom yelled out, asking who it was. The thing on the other side said, "It's me," and said my dad's name. My mom said, "That's not possible. I just spoke to you. You're in Mexico." That's when the voice changed. It started yelling, screaming for us to let it in. Then suddenly, everything went quiet. We were all terrified, so we stayed in the living room together and eventually fell asleep there. But around 2 a.m., we were woken up again. This time, it sounded like my aunt. She was knocking on the door saying, "Let me in. It's freezing out here." But we didn't believe it. After what had already happened, there was no way we were opening that door. My aunt was a calm, patient person. She wouldn't have been acting like that. Then it started again, scratching at the door and screaming. We stayed completely silent. I remember crying, my cousin was shaking, and my mom was trying to calm us down. My sister somehow slept through all of it. After what felt like hours, it finally stopped. None of us slept for the rest of the night. When morning came, we finally went outside. A few days later, our neighbor asked my mom something that made everything worse. They asked if she had come to their house late at night, because they said they heard her voice outside, asking for help. But my mom had never left the house. I don't remember much after that, but about a week later, we moved away. Oh, I really liked that one. Let me know what you thought about this one in the comments. If you want to hear me read your scary story, please email it to lidslunacy@gmail.com. Long-form content available on my YouTube channel. You can subscribe here on TikTok for a little bit of extra content here and there. Crochet patterns and plushies are always available on my Etsy. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Creepy Crochet and Creepy Pasta, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye!